okay? The Optimus does all those other things that we talked about, the Forma, the vascular, the IPL, Morpheus, which we'll get to after lunch, one of my favorite lectures. All of those services on here. Then we have what's called a Triton, separate device. Only does laser hair, but it's good to roll out right now because we just talked about it. This is only a laser hair device that only does laser hair things. So as your first segue into hair, this is how I started, was on the Optimus, because I wanted my device to do multiple things, right? Because I had a lot of competition doing hair. We've worked ourselves really low in terms of price in the market. So to buy an expensive device that only does hair, at first didn't make too much sense to me because I didn't have a huge hair volume. But then when we started getting a lot more volumes, I went to this device because what I noticed happening, friends, on my Optimus, which is where one of my Morpheus lives, once we got enough hair volume, a lot of bikini lines, the team did really great crossing people over to getting their legs. And guess what was tied up? My Morpheus and my IPL and all my other stuff because I was using this for my laser hair. And then I'm telling myself, okay, now I need to get something that only does hair to do the hair. That way I can have my Morpheus back and my IPL back. So the two things that you should consider when to buy this standalone device, number one is if you have a high volume hair practice or you're heading in that direction, because your device will be tied up if it's always doing hair. And then if your Morpheus lives on here, your IPL lives on here, it's always going to be tied up doing hair. So when you have a high volume practice, you should consider it. Or if you have a large ethnic population, types 4, 5s, and 6s. Because this device specifically is tuned, has a handpiece for darker skin types. This one does not. It can, emphatically, you can use this, but the wavelength is very selective. This wavelength is very selective for dark pigment. It's looking for melanin in the hair shaft. This is very efficient. The problem is on a guy like me, when it's looking for dark melanin, I also have dark melanin in my skin. So it can't distinguish between hair follicle and skin, and you have to be careful. So if you're using this on darker skin types, low and slow if you're using your diode laser. If you're using a diode, low and slow, you got to back down your energies, which means more treatments. So if you have and we're here in Florida, especially in Miami, if you have lots of 4s, 5s, and 6s, you should strongly be considering your Triton because on the Triton we have 2 hand pieces, one specifically tuned for dark-skinned individuals. Very effective, very safe. So what this means is while I can do dark skin on here, I have to go low and slow, meaning more treatments. Here I can keep it cranked up on my dark hand piece because it's a different wavelength. And so after 3 treatments, I'm still getting above 80% clearance after 3 treatments with my Duo Dark. And so what we've done is we've blended that 810 gold standard. It's very specific for dark, it's looking for dark pigment. That's its target. 810 is specific, but it can be problematic in a darker skinned individual. So we've blended that with a 1064, which is safer. So we've kind of got a hybrid wavelength. So for dark skins, darker skinned individuals, we blended it to make it more safe. For lighter skinned individuals, all of a sudden I don't have a good target. I've got blonde hair and white skin, like it's not great target. So we've actually gone the other way and added a more aggressive spot size, or sorry, more aggressive chromophore, 755 wavelength, to try to find darker pigment in blonde hair. So it's light and dark, specifically tuned for light-skinned individuals. It has all the same cooling. And I wanted to show you this because these devices have what's called glide mode. So think about your male's back or your female leg circumferentially, how long it takes, and then look at our machine on glide mode. It lays down 5 pulses per second. Remember I was talking about how efficient these treatments are? I mean, imagine doing that male back now compared to what you're using. And I can get through the whole male's back in 10 minutes instead of 45 like I was used to doing. So this is 5 pulses per second. And in dark, that's a dual light, in a darker skinned individual,
definitely a skin type, a light
that's
skin
too
type
much
6
energy
patient.
in
We've
a
shaved
short
the
amount of
patient
time,
down to a
so
stubble.
the machine will calibrate,
So I want the patient to come
and you only
with
get 3
visible
pulses
stubble.
per second.
We shave it to a
You
millimeter.
don't want to lay down that much energy,
Then
but
we
it's
do a little
still
test
very
spot.
efficient.
And we'll wait
I'll show you 3 pulses
4
per
or 5
second in a
minutes. We look
dark-skinned
for
individual. This is a 5. He calls it a 6.
There
It's a
should
dark,
be a modest snappy
light
feeling, but
6,
no
5,
pain.
or
When you got
5.
those good endpoints,
And
you're
this is
ready to
3
go.
pulses per second.
Slide and glide. Slide and glide.
Still very, very efficient.
We're moving about a centimeter per second.
And this is showing above 80% clearance, 6-month follow-up for after 3 treatments. Okay, let's get over to our, and this is just results. Now, those aren't impressive, but these are in dark skin individuals, because there's not very many devices on the market that can treat 4s, 5s, and 6s safely. And here's 6s.